visibility will be the thing that converts more clients than your offer alone. I know that sounds really hard to admit here, but you can have the most souped up, beautiful offer full of amazing tips, tricks, lessons, worksheets, workbooks, all of the above. But if nobody knows who you are, it's going to collect dust.
Being limitless is knowing your success and your growth are built on a radical belief in yourself. Limitless is honoring your purpose, your health, and impact above all else. Limitless is never playing small, because the more alive you feel in your life, the more growth and success you attract. Hi, my name is Jamie Ratermann, and I am a holistic business coach, meaning I am just as invested in growing your health as I am in growing your wealth. With 11 plus years in brand and social media marketing, I help rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. This show is here to encourage you to become more radically aware of your self-imposed limits, to break free of your shoulds, and to expand your brand into a movement led by you.
Hello, lovelies. Welcome to episode 44 of the Limitless Podcast. And let me be the first or next or whatever 10th person to say happy fucking New Year. Welcome to the new year. I know usually when the new year hits, we're already thinking about how we want the year to be a little bit different from the year before, where we want to focus our time and energy. So today's episode is going to be all about what I see for you as a solopreneur, as a small business in 2023, and where you can focus your time and energy. I am over here coming off of a bit of a cold during the holiday season, so working through that, but I've been waiting for my voice to be 100% so that I could share this. I've been thinking about the topic of today's episode for a very long time. You probably heard me say some of the words that I'm going to come through, but today is going to be focused on why 2023 is going to be the era of the creator CEO. So let me take a sip here before we get going. And let's go. Let's do it. So entering into the new year, it's normal to think about the best way to create more growth in your business. Now, I would love to tell you that there's a strategy, there's a tactic, there's all these things, but one of the most important foundational pieces for any of my clients is where they are spending their time. So in general, I talk about this. I even think I have a quote on my homepage of my website is saying the way to measure success in an entrepreneur is the way they spend their time and energy. So it's not uncommon for solopreneurs to divide their time in many places. So program or product development, selling, communicating with your clients, marketing, brand awareness, all of these being really important parts of your business. But it's important to note that I will regularly have the conversation with my mastermind clients, with my one-on-ones, even with my sprinters going like, oh, how do I spend my time the most effectively so that I'm not burning the candle at both ends? So when it comes to growth, when it comes to building things into your business, I want you to think about visibility. So when I'm talking about the creator CEO, I'm asking you to kind of walk away from being behind the curtain. I want you to know that while your offers are going to be an essential way of keeping clients, your offers and how you clearly share them is going to be a way to bring in new clients. Only focusing on the internal sides of your business is going to keep you right there. It's going to have you building something so perfect that nobody knows about. So when I'm talking about being the creator CEO, it means that if you haven't fully embraced sharing more of who you are, sharing your type of leadership, sharing your passion within your business, this is going to be that year more than ever before. For the fact that when you focus your time on letting people know about how insanely excited you are about your business, how knowledgeable you are in your content, how in general people can learn, know your face, see your brand on a regular basis, you're going to do better than most. You're going to do better than most for the fact that this is how people buy. So here's four. Here's four real reasons why your focus this time of year should be on visibility first, visibility as a brand and visibility as you as a leader. So first and foremost, you've heard me talk about this in some minisodes. SEO is giving more prominence to expertise and brand vibes over followers alone. So you have a similar or a higher probability of being seen based off of how well you know your audience, how well you know the people that you want to help most. How amazing is that? You don't have to have 3 million followers to be able to potentially reach up to 100K views. I actually have a client right now in my mastermind who has just hit 1,000 on TikTok, but one of her most recent TikToks got up to a million views. How exciting is that? So the idea here is that the vibe of your content, the way in which you show up, and how well you know what your clients are looking for is going to allow you to get more reach, to be seen more often. And you don't have to only focus your time on how you can build that audience first. So this is why I love this. This is not just something you're going to see on TikTok. Well, I'll use that as an example. YouTube is doubling down. Google's opened their interface so that they get to see your social posts. Pinterest has always been that beautiful search engine that's going to allow you to be seen. And the follower counts on Pinterest has never really been something that's really important. It's about how well your content serves what people are searching for. And then of course, Instagram is making that full transition into what that can look like. This is where I want to encourage you all, if you didn't get a chance to come live to my SEO masterclass, all about your discoverability, I'll keep it in the show notes. I wanted to make sure that that opportunity workbook and training is available to you if you want to take a deeper dive. But the basics you should really know about SEO is that it is a simplified process. So something that happens specifically for creators or CEOs, leaders, they're thinking about what is like the overarching complex themes that are happening within their business and how they can turn that into content. Now, that is something that if you're passionate about it, you feel the energy behind it, I'm not going to have you shy away from. But starting right now, when you're thinking about SEO for your business for 2023, how can you consider how people would search and find your service or search and find your product? If using the example of a meal prep coach, let's say, like how they're not going to exactly search meal prep coach. They might instead say how to stick with meal prep this year. Thinking about those key terms and making a complete content series around it can be really helpful. For a product-based business, let's say you are a candle company. They may be looking for, non-toxic sourced candle scents. They might be looking for that. They also might be looking for how to romanticize their life. They also might be looking for how to upgrade their desk setting. So thinking about not only how someone might define your product or service, but also how they might be using it. So SEO is going to be the biggest thing when it comes to being a creator CEO, that you don't have to always be worried or concerned about growing your community. Instead, more about how you're serving them, thinking about simplifying your content in the process and how that can in general create more reach per post than just trying to continue to build and build and build a bigger audience. The second piece here when it comes to being a creator CEO is that I usually get this comment where someone goes, I like to post, but I get most of my business through referral marketing. I'm going to tell you over and above, word of mouth marketing, referral marketing is always going to be the best form of marketing. Reasons why is that it takes people less time to decide they want to work with you. On average, when someone's trying to buy from a brand new business, they need to have at least 7 to 12 touch points, meaning they've seen you 7 to 12 times in their feed, been on your site, maybe been on your email. In general, they need to see your name or your brand 7 to 12 times before they consider buying from you. Whenever you add referrals, like somebody giving word of mouth, a stamp of approval on top of that, that 7 to 12 times goes down to 2 to 5. So in general, referral marketing costs less money. So it's always going to make sense to have that. But here's why your visibility is only going to boost that, grow that. Your referral marketing is in general the first 2 places people do look whenever they've heard a name. Let's say someone decides to tell them about my own business or the Limitless Podcast. The first 2 places they're going to look for me is they're going to look at my website. Websites are the first place people usually look, which is always why I encourage people to have a website. And then also Instagram. According to data, Instagram is the second place most people look when they're considering a business. So whenever you're thinking about, okay, well, I don't need to post so much because most of my business comes from referrals. This is where, in general, if you don't have an idea of how inviting your social feeds are or uninviting they are, it could detract from anybody who's giving you that stamp of approval. So whenever we're talking about being a creator CEO, this also plays into this role of how can you embrace the fact that content and social media is an essential piece. If for any reason you've been like, oh, I'll get around to it, I'll get around to social media, I'll get around to those things, and you continue to deprioritize it, here's another way to make sure you know that anything you decide to put on social is only going to boost your conversion, only going to boost new clients coming in, only going to boost someone's trust in you in some way. The third piece of why this year is all about visibility is that we make buying decisions based off of our emotions. If you can create an emotional reaction within your marketing, it allows someone to decide, oh, they're memorable to me. Oh, okay. Like I felt this way before. They make me feel good, or they make me feel like I can trust them. This is, in general, I always like to use this example whenever I'm talking about the Super Bowl ads. The Super Bowl ads that always win are the ones that people go, oh, I remember that because I can relate to it. Or, oh, that one that was so funny. It reminded me of, or like, that was my favorite one of the night because I was laughing so hard at it. Whenever I'm watching the Super Bowl, which, let me be clear, I watch the Super Bowl for the ads. I end up looking at, okay, that ad's going to be memorable because of these reasons. So being able to know that whenever you are thinking about what is the purpose behind your marketing, or what's the purpose behind the attention that you put into it, is how can you create an emotional reaction? Now, why is it important to do that? Whenever you're creating strong content, if you want it to be memorable, you want to tie it to emotion. You want to tie it to what that is. We create our brain, according to brain science, we create memories based off the feelings and emotions that come up along the way. So if you are able to be memorable based off of the quality of the content, that's really important here. So this is only going to make it easy to get new eyes on your leads. This is only going to make it easier to sell more easily. But here's really the key step here, knowing that, like I said before, that people need to interact with us at least 7 to 12 times before they start to consider working with us or consider buying from us. How can you think about your content creation? How can you think about your creativity as an essential piece to your brand growth? How can you think of it as an essential piece to growing your business? So one thing I really want to get into here is that sometimes I want to just detach content creation from selling. I want to just detach anything that people will like want a post to turn into a client, for the fact that sometimes when we add that attachment to it, we start to get a little bit burnt out by the process when things don't happen as fast as we want to. But your content is not only something that can turn a follower into a client off of one post, but it can also turn the fact that people are going to be lurking and hanging out with you for a while before they're ready to jump in with their money. So this is kind of where, in general, there's a term or a phrase that is usually given around within the coaching business called the dropping from the sky client. I kind of hate this myth. I find this to be really annoying, to be honest, for the fact that there's no such thing as a drop from the sky client. I'm being honest with you. They interact with you in some way, whether that is a referral, whether that is looking at a piece of content, or whether that it turns out it's been someone who's been lurking and hanging out and your followers and finally decided now is the time. So what's really funny is that whenever I have a client going, oh, I got a drop from the sky client, what I really don't like about it is that really what it is that the reason why, quote unquote, people drop from the sky is the fact that they have been watching your dedication and commitment to the content you create, the energy behind the content. They've been watching for a long time, usually for a long time. I like to call them the loyal lurkers. They're hanging out until they're ready. So whenever you're thinking about why this process is important, to be visible, to put yourself out there, to get yourself out from behind the scenes, is that every single one of these posts is an opportunity for people to start to trust you more. Every single one of these posts is going to allow someone to be like, oh, I love to get my advice or my recommendations or entertainment from this kind of creator, from this particular person. So knowing that the more you can put yourself out there, the more emotion and memory your brand will have. So being able to attach both of those pieces. Now, I really want to make this this last one as a caveat. I've talked about how SEO kind of eliminates the over importance of how many followers you have, because you have the opportunity to get a lot of reach. Referral marketing can be an easy turnover for you. Putting out your content is only going to create more loyalty, more trust. But this last one I want to talk about when it comes to the creator CEO is that follower growth does not happen without content output. So what's really important about this statement is that, yeah, I want you all to have a community that's ready to celebrate you, not only when you're launching a new offer, but also whenever you have a new thing to share about your brand story. Community comes from showing up. Now, you've heard this been said before. You show up often, show up authentically. All of these terms, you've heard them being said. But creating a practice where your content or showing up on social media is an essential part of your week, essential part of your day, is going to create community first, is going to allow you to get to know the people who are not only going to support you, refer other people to you, but are going to buy from you. Sometimes when I have a client who's ready to come in and they're like, oh, I want to run ads, but they've never done anything with their organic content, it has a lot to do with the fact that they don't know what their clients are going to respond to. They don't know what followers are really interested in. And your content gets to be that wonderful playground of like, oh, wow, people really get excited when I talk about being confident on camera. People get really excited when I give them really simple tips on how to improve their video quality, or really simple tips of how to stop wasting food, or simple tips on how to create a vibe in your apartment, whatever the kind of product that you have. Your content is like a data source. You get to know exactly what people are looking to you for, and you want to create more content there. And then there's new followers. And then it happens all organically. And you know that every single person who said yes to following you, who said yes to clicking in your link in bio, trusts you. Who, like, every single one of those followers has decided that you give value in your free things. So it's only going to get easier when they decide to take the next step. So really important reasons. Visibility will be the thing that converts more clients than your offer alone. I know that sounds really hard to admit here, but you can have the most souped up, beautiful offer full of amazing tips, tricks, lessons, worksheets, workbooks, all of the above. But if nobody knows who you are, it's going to grow, collect dust. That offer might be beautiful and might be full of science-backed material and results and all of the things, but if nobody knows about it, or you have a crowd of people that has never heard you passionately talk about what's happening inside those containers, inside that product that you're so passionate about, you're going to have a hard time. So the reason why I wanted to hit these 4 points is for the fact that the more you can share about these things, the easier your growth is going to be. This usually comes down to, I'll have a client that comes in with a large amount of followers, and they're ready to turn their followers into something that turns into a business. But their business, the kind of business they want to do, they've never heard about it before. They've never heard them even passionately share that story. It's going to take a little bit of time. So whenever I talk about being a creator CEO and why the 2023 is going to be that year for you, is that it's time to focus on people knowing why you started this business, knowing why you have so much purpose behind it, and also deciding that you are the biggest selling point here. You are that thing that allows people to decide, okay, this business, this brand is for me over the next person. So keeping these things in mind, you want to have some patience with those, with what's going on there. Now, because being a creator CEO and means a couple of things. You want to own what your brand vibe is. So I've talked about this a couple of times. Now, being a brand, of course, there's the breakdown of your ideal client, what your brand story is, what the type of content that you're putting out there. Your brand vibe is a mixture of how you want people to remember you. So knowing there's a part of that, feeling deep pride in your offer suite and your product suite is important as well. So knowing that you're not just selling things to sell things, like you have a purpose behind them, is essential too. Talking about these two things, of course, this is where marketing mastery has its soul, right? Like it's the soul of marketing mastery is here to make sure that you feel so freaking confident about those two pieces, that your offers are going to easily create in more wealth, more trust, with what that looks like. You have a vibe that you're standing out from anyone else, and that people know that it's for you. But the really important piece of why this next round I'm focusing so much on visibility first is that you want to make the largest chunk of your time pie. If we're looking at a pie chart of how much time we're spending on our business, it needs to be in brand awareness and marketing. So to give a little bit of background here, I always remember this perfectly. Whenever I worked at TripAdvisor, I was running a portion of their marketing department, and I was sat in a room of 30 people, 20 of them being sales people. So they are the people that get the right hotels on the platform. They were the people that were working tirelessly to get the best hotels so that they could outperform anybody else that was helping people with travel. And the CEO was asked, all of these salespeople wanted more budget, more money to be able to hit their goals. And they were like, asking for it, please, we want more money in our budget. And they were asked, like, if you were able to give more time or more money towards a particular department right now, where would it be? And without worrying about hurting the feelings of all these salespeople who are so passionate in there, the dry reply was, I would spend it in marketing. I would spend it in marketing and brand awareness. And, that feeling was like really realizing that at the end of the day, if nobody knows about you, if nobody knows about your brand, why are we spending so much time trying to sell something when they don't trust who you are? So really what's important is that there's a reason why marketing departments are some of the biggest departments on the corporate side of things, for the fact that just being known is going to turn into better sales. Just being known and that people recognize what your brand pillars are, what you're about, will turn any of your other efforts into profit, into wealth, into growth for you. So keeping these things in mind. So like I said, visibility is going to be a big part of what I'm going to be sharing a lot more about in 2023. So here's a couple of things to consider as you're beginning to think about how you want to be more visible. So first and foremost, I don't think this is going to, if you've been listening to this whole episode, this is going to be a surprise to you. It's time to do a time audit. How much time are you spending on tweaking the little pieces within your business? How much time are you making sure this particular graphic is perfect, or that you update this particular lesson, or you're just hanging out in your email? I'm giving you permission right now to not worry about inbox zero. How about we focus on your output of putting your brand out there up to 4 or 5 times a week, instead of making sure that inbox stays at 0 all week long. So being able to really realize if you are spending too much of your time on the inner workings of your business, you are most likely lacking some visibility. So how can you look at your calendar, look at your schedule, and be able to say, I'm going to devote Monday mornings, Wednesday mornings to making sure that I market my business and I'm putting myself out there. So of course, this is a large reason why I created the sprints. I know this doing this type of timing can be difficult. So this is an opportunity for you to, consider that, of course, but I'm also just saying block off some time to be creative. Block off some time to really understand, okay, what do I want to represent my brand about this week? What are my focuses? What is the way in which I'm inviting new people to get to know me? And give yourself at least 2.5 hours to really think about that. Be able to think about how you want to represent what's going on in your business. So do that time audit. And if right now you are spending, and I want to be completely direct here, if right now you're spending more than 10 hours a week on admin related tasks, admin being answering emails, admin being fixing the automations, I'm going to tell you that you're wasting your time. Over 10 hours a week and you're starting to try to build this thriving business, walk away from that. Either figure out what is zapping that time, hand it off to somebody else, or realize that it is not as close to building wealth within your business as it would be to do marketing. So I like to call, in Marketing Master, I talk about money making tasks. And if you're looking at the list, because we all can brain dump an endless list of the to-dos that we would like to be doing, in general, I want you to take a look at that list and go, what is the closest task to creating a new client? So sometimes that might mean responding to an interested lead first. That makes sense. And then the next is going to be marketing. The next is going to be being visible. The next is going to be putting yourself out there versus trying to make little tweaks here or make sure that your website looks perfect there. So being able to really audit how you might be wasting your time in the wrong places. Most important piece. So important. So if you want to get more visible, start there. The second piece here is 2023 is going to be the year for you to join another social platform. I'm going to say it again. Join another social platform. If you are a lover of Instagram, please don't only use Instagram. If you are somebody who, only thinks their email is the only place that they're going to convert, no. Different platforms are going to have different mindsets. And the biggest thing when I have someone who feels that they're going to be overwhelmed by using more than one platform is that there's a process to it. I give a lot of this sustainability routine within Marketing Mastery, but being able to know that your ideas have more than one place, more than one shelf life, more than one audience. So just to give a general idea here is that Instagram is a place where people go for entertainment, education, and to be inspired. It has all the bells and whistles. Now, if somebody is going, okay, fine, James, I'm ready to do a new platform. I like to type. I like to use Word. I like to write copy. I'm going to tell them, head on over to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a place where text and video work really well. So knowing that whatever effort you might put into a caption on the gram, it has a second life after a little bit I have a refresh and repurpose method that I give to my clients where just a small adjustments that you can make so it performs better somewhere else. And that's where that can be. But even more, if you guys listen to the episode with Nicolette, there's going to be a war of the video platforms this year. There's going to be a bit of a war going on of like, which one are people going to be swiping through that short form content the most? So if you right now are creating reels, oh my gosh, you have so many places for that. YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest. How amazing is it to know that if I'm going to spend this 2.5 hours creating 5 videos a week or whatever that might be, that is not only going to be seen by the eyes on Instagram, it's also going to be able to be seen somewhere else. So if for any reason you have been shying away, you thought you'd be overwhelmed by a second social platform, I want you to take a deeper look at if those are just excuses. If it's just a matter of figuring out the workflow, the system that you want to put into place, this is going to be the year that if you embrace second platform, follower growth is going to be really easy, knowing that more leads are going to come in when you decide to do that. Next piece about this is getting really clear on your brand and what makes it different. So the more that people use social, the more that people are joining your industry, How can you differentiate yourself? Brand marketing is going to be the thing that helps you stand out. And clearly, if you haven't listened to all of these episodes, I'm obsessed with helping you find your magic. I'm obsessed with helping you really realize that you can carve your own corner out of the internet. So if you are not clear about who you serve, if you're not clear about what makes you different, take some time, focus in on your brand marketing, what that all means. Find, of course, within that brand, what are the types of content you want to be known for. So I don't want this to sound like I'm telling you to niche down. That's not it at all. But what inspires you most? What could you talk about for days? What are the things that people ask you the most questions about? Build those into content pillars that you can regularly share about. So one important piece is, whenever we're talking about content building, the foundational rule here is that yes, you want your content to serve your ideal client, but you also want to be inspired to share it. So if instead of choosing content that quote unquote makes sense for you to share based off of your industry, make sure it's something that you like to talk about. So I like to use the example for myself is that I'm never going to do a trending audios reel. Like, I'm never going to spend my time finding all the trending audios and putting them out there. For me, I find that to be something that is a tactic, but not something I want you, like, I could spend all day talking about. I could spend all day talking about how to be a leader, how to represent yourself, how to put your content out there. So I'm going to focus my time on that. And I'll let the people who love to do the trending audios decide to do that somewhere else. So whenever you are focusing and deciding what your content's going to be about, make sure it hits 2 points, that it serves that audience, but it's also something that energizes you so that you want to create content around it all the time. And then, of course, I've talked a lot about brand marketing here. I want you to think about your branding elements. So, of course, what makes you different is going to be important. What makes you stand out in the feed? So it could be anything from your brand colors. It could be anything about the way you speak. It could be, in general, just your approach and the way you talk about things. So if for any reason right now, if you've been going, oh, I'm a little bit silly, or I'm a little bit different, or I like to drop the F-bomb from time to time, and you're like, oh, that's not professional, I need to act a certain way, break free of those limits. Please break free of those limits. So being able to know that the more that you can be more of yourself, you're going to be recognizable. People are going to experience you in the way in which you are a leader. And that's going to allow someone to go, I choose you. I choose you over choosing the next person because I can relate to you. So making sure we're not playing the quote unquote part of the CEO, we're defining it around who we are. And then, of course, the last piece is, whenever we're thinking about this, whenever we're thinking about how we want to stand out, how can you represent yourself a little bit differently? So all of you, this is the first episode that I've decided to be on my blue couch. I am a blue, my branding colors are blue. In general, I know that bringing some of those branding elements into any of my videos only allows someone to go, oh, I've seen that person's background before, or oh, I love her brand vibe because of these colors. There's going to be people who just love that. So being able to think about how can you showcase your branding in an intentional way without having to like really shove it in people's faces. So those are just a couple of things, right? I'm giving a couple of ideas. But the reason why I really want you all to see yourselves as a creator CEO is it's an empowering position. It is something that is going to allow you to feel your most resilient. It's going to allow you to see that you don't have to compete with others. Instead, you just get to showcase your passion within your business, your ability to commit and be devoted to that growth by showing up. So I wanted to make sure that you started the new year off on a positive note. So I talked all of this episode about visibility, but I'm going to be running a visibility masterclass. So visibility, the masterclass, is going to be on Tuesday, January 10th. And it's going to be about how to embolden your branding to stand out on any platform you decide, how to create more content in less time. So I talked about how you want to show up. I want to give you a lot of the ways in which your content process can be you can post a lot more content in less time. And then how you want to build this memorable brand and offer suite that grows with more ease, that builds on itself. So if you're interested, this is going to be a completely free masterclass where I'm going to have a workbook, everything in there so that you can start yourself off on the right foot, so that you can come in to 2023 as the creator CEO that you are. We'll make sure to put it in the show notes, but I would love to hear how you are ready to embrace visibility in the new year. Go ahead and share with me on social, or of course, come to this masterclass because I'm super pumped about it.